everyone, and welcome back to the Startup Founders Club. Today, I'm joined by Vanessa Winter. Vanessa is the CEO and founder of Circolo software. Circolo is an all-in-one event management platform that makes events easier. Prior to launching Circolo, Vanessa spent nearly 7 years at SimPro Group, including roles as Chief Marketing Officer and Chief Commercial Officer. So hopefully we've got a lot to learn. Ness, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
So we'll definitely get into Circolo and what you're doing now. But before we do that, I really want to talk about your time into SimPro, which is, it's an amazingly successful Australian startup, gone global, done fantastically well. And obviously you're a big part of that. Can you tell me a bit about your experience there?
Yeah, sure. I originally started with SimPro back in 2012, actually as a contractor to come in and help them create a brand personality. They were building great software, engaged with some really cool, skilled people, but there was just no personality about the brand. They were so busy doing the really cool, important things, but really wanted to start to understand who they were. So I started with them doing that with the management team, and that role quickly moved into a full-time opportunity to head up their sales and marketing for APAC. I think I was doing that job for 2 or 3 months, and I was offered an executive role as head of sales and marketing and CMO. So we formed a new executive team back in 2012, and we just all got along famously, which was really cool. And we all worked towards our goal of expanding into the UK market, which we were able to do without capital raising, which was great. We wanted to do that to prove our land and expand model, not only to ourselves, but also so that we could really look at the metrics behind that and what we needed to do to further expand into a US market and move to a Series A. We did that really successfully. It had its challenges.
I bet. What you mean it wasn't smooth sailing the whole way?
Oh no. But I feel like we really understood and took those learnings and pivoted really quickly and listened to a lot of knowledge on the ground in that market as well, and understanding not only the cultural shifts that you need to understand, but how to actually integrate your own Australian shifts in to create something really cool over there. We did that really well. We've all put some skin in the game, and then we continued on with our big plan to move into the US market, which obviously, as most know, is an incredibly large market and extremely competitive as well. So at that time, we spent about 8 months meeting and greeting lots of VCs, East Coast, West Coast. We were in a really nice position to, I guess, select and want to select a VC that was really there to help us, guide us, teach us, open up new networks to us, and hold us extremely accountable. And we did secure the right partner for us, and that was really exciting. What came from there felt like a NASCAR race. It was so fast, and the expectations were really, really high. And I think that's where, when you have the right team of people around you to support each other, to execute what your goals are, but also be very, very aligned together.
Yep.
And that keeps your teams, your people, your customers feeling very confident in you. So that was a pretty big, crazy time, to be honest. We expanded not only new offices, but also teams. And that's where my role changed again into the CCO role, where I came to have product under my belt as well.
Wow. There's a lot to digest there. I want to pick your brain on a couple of things there.
Sure.
International expansion. What do you think the biggest challenge is outside of capital? Because capital is always one. It's expensive and it's painful. What was the things that you noticed that were different or harder than you expected moving into the UK and then the US?
Look, there's not one thing. The number one thing would be people, understanding cultural differences, HR and employment law. which is very different. I think financial institutions as well, the administration behind, setting up your bank accounts and your structures and your payment systems, tax codes, GST. There's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes, that have absolutely nothing to do with your customer. They do when your customer wants to pay you, but it's a problem when they can't.
Or you want to pay tax.
Or you want to pay tax.
I had a funny story about that one. That the only way I got my PA, my GST number from the UK was that they literally finally sent me the fine with my GST registration number on it when I'd been asking them for it for 8 months. And the only way they get it to me is they sent me the fine. I'm like, aha, I can pay you now.
That's it. And I think too, we are in a way, I think, quite spoiled in this country and in New Zealand as well. Things actually move in terms of financial institutions a lot faster. So there's a lot of red tape, a lot of bureaucracy, both in the UK and the UK market, as an experience for us. So everything moves slower and differently. And so you can get quite frustrated, but be prepared to have the right advisors on the ground who can help you navigate that. To me, that's a good investment. And it takes time. So that would probably be the two major ones from my perspective.
It's amazing to think of Australia, particularly as a bastion of efficiency.
I know.
But the UK invented bureaucracy, and we went, we had the same experience. It's just like you.
And I mean, the US has tax codes for different sides of the street. So there's now great software that helps us navigate that. But there's also lots of language barriers and things like that. So, and it costs money to look at how you navigate your software through those processes as well.
Yeah, 100%. So you ran both marketing and sales for SimPro.
And product.
And product. A long time you had sales and marketing, and I want to talk on that for a second. I'll come back to your product experience later. So where was SimPro at when you started, and where was it when you left in terms of rough company size, growth, number of customers, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I think I was employee number 44. I do remember that for some strange reason, out of the Brisbane office. And look, we realistically had probably, customer numbers, don't quote me on this, but it would probably
it's being recorded, so we might quote you.
Yeah, you might. I honestly can't remember exactly how many customers we had. But we were purely across Australia and New Zealand at the time. So I think in terms of the growth trajectory, I know, by the time I ended up hanging up my boots, we were really at that sort of 140,000 users, just, upward trending from there. So it was a significant growth period that we experienced.
That's quite amazing.
Yeah.
So 2012, long time ago, not to throw shade, but marketing's changed and sales has changed a lot in that time. What's probably some of the biggest differences that you know to now versus then, or when you started? What worked and versus now?
Yeah, look, I think back then, everything was about AdWords and SEO. SEO was a big part. It was about taking away that kind of necessarily solving the user's problem and websites and long copy, and everything wanted to be fast and right in your face and sign up for a free demo. And it was very like advertising, shall we say. And I think the sales process, to me, it hasn't changed a whole lot from what we did at SimPro. Okay. And I think we did that really well. But I think what we do have now is this, huge seismic shift, which already was occurring when I retired in the digital space, and how many tools we have available to us and the access. But also the user now has so much choice, and we are really putting the decision with them with so much more knowledge of what they're actually looking at. And because there's so much more available to them, I think the authenticity in our marketing and our sales process has become more personable again.
So you think marketing. So to sum up there, probably sales hasn't changed so much, but marketing has to be less advertising and more personal, real human stories. That's
Yeah.
what's true.
I think people are purchasing based on a lot more trust or referral in brands, and brands really have to prove themselves.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So I'll talk about your chief commercial officer role, because sales, marketing, and product all together is a lot. It's almost like being a founder.
It actually was a bit like that, and this was on a global scale for 4 countries. So
exactly.
You can imagine the teams, that surrounded those departments. So,
what do you think running all of those things at the same time taught you?
I love this part of my life because for me, the product is the customer's voice. It's the company's innovation and capabilities, and it's the customer's voice and solutions they're looking for. So that's one of the things that I really, really enjoyed. It was also the most challenging part of my role because I hadn't naturally come from that background, although I'd been obviously an employee with the business for years and always annoying the product team and dev team with, hey, we should be, I'm getting the starter back. But the coolest thing is
dev teams love it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But I think the great thing about that is having the ability product marketing and sales is a really powerful, group. And so it's understanding how we could communicate the information and the data in a more seamless way in terms of features, functionalities, and innovation. How we then marketed that back to not only our customers, but also to attract new business for the sales team as well. And I think when we put those 3 things together, we really were able to cut through a lot of noise and deliver things a lot faster. And I think too, because our product team was, in squads with our developers as well, we had a much better form of communication and dedicated delivery teams at that time.
Awesome. And so you've come out of that. I joked it's a bit about being a founder. So you left there. You've come out of there. You spent some time consulting, sales and marketing, including to me, as we talked about before this.
I did,
And then you've gone on to build Circolo.
Well, I built a farm for a while and took 2 years off and built an equestrian property. Rode horses for a couple of years. I had a baby, so that was cool. My little girl, and then I realized that everyone else was at work and I was just riding horses, and it was a bit boring. And but something kept coming up about the space that I'm now in. So
talk to me about Circolo, other than being bored of riding horses and being out of the crazy world of running 5 different teams across 4 different countries and doing stupidly large amounts of work. What made you do it?
I have lots and lots of friends and associates that run events on a global level. And most of those people I've actually met through my career who are my friends and associates, obviously. But I just was having conversations and getting so much feedback from them about how frustrated they were with this event space. And then one person in particular said, hey, you've come from tech. Can you go and have a look for me and see if I've missed something? I've been looking for a solution. And they couldn't find anything. There were solutions out there, but they weren't the right fit for what they were doing. So I started having a look, and then as I dove deeply in, then I started to make my matrices of comparison tables and things like that. And that's when the light bulb went off, and I went, okay, there's a space here that's not being serviced. And this is a space that is the most high volume space in small to medium business running events, and both professional events and amateur events. So then, the market research began, which takes a lot of time, and then the investment into the market research to quantify your addressable market and obtainable market and opportunity that takes time and a lot of money as well.
Yep.
And then I went into the world of wireframing, so I could look at, putting together my thoughts on what it would look like, what features, functions, and roadmaps and things like that.
Yep.
And then that came into time to bring a development team on board and build a prototype and get some user testing underway and user feedback.
Beautiful.
And blood, sweat, and tears.
Blood, sweat, and tears. So we'll come back to that. We'll come back to MVP and first in a second. Talk to me about your target audience.
Target audience for us is really any event, anywhere, anytime. So a professional event manager or event planner, and or an amateur looking to run a birthday party, community event, and a charitable organisation.
Okay.
So
cool.
we focus more on the event types as opposed to an industry.
Okay, cool. Any particular event types that you particularly focused?
Yeah, look, we have conferences, weddings, birthday parties, motorsport, charitable events, sporting events, community events, workplace events, Christmas parties, you name it.
The whole bit.
The whole bit, yeah. Nice. That's why it's focused on the event type. But the core for us is understanding there are core features that each of those events require.
Yep.
And for us, that's focusing on delivering those really well.
Awesome. So you've done your market research, you've done your wireframes, you brought some dev team on to try and build first MVP. How'd it go?
It went well. It didn't go without some failure points. And I think that's really quite common in startups.
If it's perfect, you're not in a startup land.
Yeah, 100%. I think one thing for me is I've learned to really trust my intuition a lot more with things and back yourself. Don't be afraid to do that. I think when we went to launch MVP, the reality was it was a prototype. It was a beta tester. It wasn't going to meet my requirements for monetization for MVP.
Yep.
And I think the expectations I had on my timeline was wrong.
Okay.
That and also the expectation of the partner we had at the time, they just weren't the right fit.
Yep.
And so for me, understanding that my intuition was take the time and get the right partner and understand your delivery timeline for MVP. If I did it again, I would have made that decision. So that was a really good learning.
Yep.
And yeah, I think number one, focus on your product and your development. Stay away from everything else until you're at MVP.
Yeah. MVP is where it's at. So did you outsource team, offshore team?
So we went offshore originally. And that was it was a good process in terms of building out the product roadmaps because we do have different plans as we expand past MVP. So I feel my intimate knowledge of the platform is fantastic. I know every piece and part about it, but and where we're at now in terms of our new development partner, who's also an investment partner, it's made our process very quick because they have so much information now that they're able to build in their sprints really, really fast, and they deliver really fast because they haven't had to go through that process with me last year.
Yep.
So it has its, upfalls and downfalls, but also in saying that, I knew by bringing it on, taking it offshore, we weren't going to have access to the R&D grants that we have here, and they're so incredibly important. So, and there are some great development partners here in Australia, and we won't be leaving ours. We love them. They're our CPO and our CTO services, and they write our R&D grants, and they invest in us. Their focus is on the outcomes and our valuation in the future. So I feel like we've got a really good partner there, and they sort us out, not the other way around, which is also nice.
Do they work with other people? Would you share their names happily, or do you want to keep them all to yourself?
They do work with other people. Yeah, and they're just sensational. So their name is Devika. They're based out of Wollongong, in New South Wales, and they're just an amazing, talented team of people. I enjoy talking to them, working with them every day. They probably don't enjoy me pestering them, but I only pester them because I'm like, hey, how's it going? But they've made it really easy, and they've actually taken so much of the strain and time off me that I can actually focus on being a CEO.
Yep.
And my team can actually focus on their jobs. We don't have to focus on product and dev anymore. And I think that is sensational, that what they've given back to us has allowed us to, well, it is allowing us to prepare our go-to-market strategy and launch very shortly. So
Awesome.
that's really good. Yeah.
So ETA on launch date. When are you launching?
We are launching the first week of August. So I'm really excited. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. I'm assuming you're hosting an event to launch.
We will. We'll just look at the budget first. So if that money is better well spent in development, well, it'll be hosted at my house with a few beers and a barbecue. But
Yeah,
hey,
nice.
nothing's wrong with that.
No, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
one of the reasons that I do this podcast and this website is because I think everyone has the Silicon Valley, everyone has an idea, gets $10 million, goes and buys some high-rise office flooring, and then it's all magic, and then it just happens, and then you exit as a billionaire, and it's not real.
Well,
It's
actually,
not real.
my home is our registered office,
Yep.
and I bought it. Well, I have a home with 3 spare bedrooms for our staff because they live all over
Yep.
Australia. So last year, I think I had 4 weeks out of the year where I did not share my house with some staff members.
The glamorous side of it, right?
The glamorous side,
Yeah.
I shall never forget it. So, but that's what we do.
It is.
Yeah.
So what would you say that you've got right about building Circolo, and what would you do differently if you had your time over?
I think what we've got right is we've really researched the heck out of what we've done. We have talked to so many event professionals across so many varied spaces, suppliers to events, locations, venues, international destination event managers. I've done conferences that I've self-funded in Africa, South Africa, here. We've been involved in motorsport to understand their event requirements and invested heavily in their user feedback. And then all the event managers as well who are screaming in sports and government, tourism ideas. So I feel like that's the piece we've done really well, is we've really listened.
Yeah.
And that's been great because those people are our potential customers, paid subscribers, and they're still here today going, is it nearly ready? When can I have it?
Can we have it? That's pretty good validation.
It is. And we're still, we've got their support. We're still communicating. And I feel like they've come on that journey with us, which I really love. I think.
Too.
Yeah. And I'm really excited about delivering them a tool to really make their life a lot easier and keep their teams communicating really well in real time, which just doesn't happen in events until soon. The thing I think, I'll come back to is listen to your intuition, focus and invest in your product, your development and your market research. Don't worry about your sales and marketing until you've got some money, some paid subscribers. You can work that stuff out later. Yep. But ensure you surround yourself with some people that have more experience than you, that have done it before, because I'm really lucky to have 3 great advisors who are now retired and very successful, and rightly so, who I've been able to reach out and say, hey, can you have a look at this pitch deck? Or I'm feeling a bit stuck on this particular area in the business and just want to hear your thoughts. And the guidance from those 3 people for me has just been sensational. I really needed that at times.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So coming back to, I said when we're talking about your SimPro stuff, it's almost like
Oh, yeah.
being a founder. How
Yeah.
different is it building, owning everything, doing it from the scratch, doing it all for you,
Oh, well.
as opposed to being the executive of a company? Like, how different is it, and how surprising were any differences?
Look, it is extremely different. You know, I always said to myself, I work for SimPro, you know, like I own it. And I
Yep.
was always proud to take every decision I made with the utmost responsibility and especially the commercial responsibility. But at the end of the day, it wasn't all of my, you know, my life on the line with that business. So I think the stresses that come are just so unforeseen. There's financial strain, there's pressure, you know, financial pressure in terms of raising capital, in terms of being responsible to your shareholders, to your team of people. You've got employees that you're responsible for. You've got customers. So you're not really dealing in one area of the business. We all have things that we really enjoy doing, and it's so easy, you know, for us to lean over to that side. But there's so much there that, you know, none of us enjoy doing, but it's pivotal to our success.
Yep.
So I think that you've got a lot of balls in the air all the time. For me, I'm very lucky that I work with two very, very senior people from SimPro.
Yep.
Who I have worked with for a very long time and know them inside and out. So the trust level and the communication between us is not foreign at all.
Yep.
And I also work with another very senior person who's heading up sales and marketing, which I love because I'm like, great, I've been there, you know, make this your own. But again, it's having a good team of people around you is just so important. And it's really easy to have a lot of people want to be around you, you know, when things are shiny and pretty and you look to be doing quite well, you'll attract that. So keep your eyes open and, you know, keep the people close to you that you work with and keep your circle small.
Yeah, be careful who you let in on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So currently mostly funded entirely by you, I believe, taking some investment. Are you raising at the moment? Have you raised? Are you raising? Talk to me about that.
Look, we decided, or I decided late December to do a family and friends raise. Yep. We had quite a bit of interest from family and friends close to us that they would, you know, they wanted to do that. And come in and support us. So we did do that. We still have that open at the moment. We're well over 50% of the way there through that raise. Beautiful. And the family and friends raise. And then I don't want to do an equity raise for as long as possible. I don't even need to tell you that for the obvious reasons of that nasty word dilution.
Yep.
But at the same time, I really think I'm not going to be in a position to say when we're going to do it. Yeah. I think it could be this year, but if we don't need to, we won't.
Yep.
And we'll certainly push for as long as we can. We know our revenue model. So for us, it's about getting out there and we have been conservative. And if we can smash that model with, you know, the fun begins.
Without external funding and dilution.
Yeah, exactly. And we are very lucky, you know, to have our development partner who's invested in us as well. So
makes a huge difference.
And not, you know, and there's the other thing is there's so many great grants available in Queensland that we have available. So I urge people not to look past them because that is just such a huge piece that can help you get past that very end phase before monetization as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Well, I hope it goes well. I'm really looking forward to what you say. Before we wrap up, I've got 3 questions that I ask everyone.
Okay.
And it's always interesting to see the answers to these ones. And the first one is, what is the biggest misconception founders have about starting a SaaS company?
That my idea is so private, can't tell anyone because, you know, I'm going to make $1 million really quickly.
Not real? Not real? Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I feel pretty brutal sometimes, but I agree completely. And I say your idea is worth nothing. Ideas are
Correct.
cheap and free, and everyone has
Yeah.
ideas. It's only
Yeah.
execution that matter. Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. I do love it when like first time founders ask you to sign an NDA before they'll tell you a little bit about their idea. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the biggest mistake you've made on your journey?
Not listening to my intuition, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Got to trust your gut.
I've got to trust my gut. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
And what is the one piece of advice you feel strongly enough about to give every single founder?
Go out and talk to founders that have successfully exited and ask them the wins, what they did well. They'll talk to you because they love talking about it. Ask them where they feel they would have done things differently, and what was the most challenging part of raising capital and doing investor relations and working through that side. I think you can't ever learn enough from those people.
No, 100% agreed. And that's kind of why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, Ness, thank you so much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. And I look forward to seeing the success of Circolo when you launch in the next couple of months.
Thank you.
Pleasure.